Radio. Talk Radio.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, Executive Producer of the Female Solution Radio Show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
Yes, we do want to talk to you. I'm Naima Latif, and we are here on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show celebrating Juneteenth. Yes, we are. This is exciting because we get an opportunity to educate so many of those who have not heard the story of our unbelievable journey here in America. We want to talk to you, but we want to hear from you, especially today, in these times where we are realizing that this is an unfortunate situation that occurred in our history, but we need to grow past it. We want to talk about that today. And we're going to be joined by some wonderful people who are organizing an event. And we're going to tell you more about that. We're going to come back and we'll be joined by our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we want to hear from you as we talk about Juneteenth and our need to reclaim our land, language, and culture as part of the global African family. Do we need to let go of the identity as ex-slaves when that is an experience and not an identity? Do we need to reclaim our heritage? And we're going to talk to you more about some fantastic events happening this weekend when we see the crowning of kings and queens in the African diaspora. We'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be right back after this quick break. So stay with us.
I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
Hi, I'm James Hammonds, author of When Shepherds Kill. Shepherds Kill is about an alderman in the city of Chicago who gets murdered, and his friend, another alderman, who searches for his killer. In the meantime, the city police arrest an individual who is innocent, causes a city riot, and all of this happens in the context of drug dealing, Russian money being spent in Chicago. It's just full of excitement, full of thrill. You can get this book online at Amazon, Crocs and Ventanos, at the local bookstores, everywhere. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Latif every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show, as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, and I believe we are now joined with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak, and we will gladly open your mic so that you can be heard. Well, of course, we're on multiple radio networks. And as always, we give you the opportunity to see and hear us. If you're watching us live on our Facebook or YouTube channel, The Female Solution, or if you are watching us on our many other networks. If you're listening in on Blog Talk and you call in 515-605-9325, simply press 1 to let us know you want to be heard. And if you are watching us on your cell phone, we want you to share this show as we prepare to teach today. We're, of course, celebrating Juneteenth. And there's an exciting event coming up that we want to let you know about. Today is Juneteenth. And for those who are not familiar with the celebration, this, you could say, is the actual Independence Day that African Americans can observe, because we have an experience that is different than many others. And we want you all who perhaps are not aware of the history to hear as we celebrate Juneteenth, June 19th, the official Independence Day for African Americans, the day that marks the day in 1885 when enslaved people in Galveston, Texas were finally told 2.5 years after President Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation that American slavery had ended. We also prepare to celebrate the power of our African heritage as kings and queens in the upcoming exchange ceremony this coming Saturday, June 22nd. And at this event, to be held this year at 528 West Washington in Chicago, outstanding men and women of the African diaspora will be crowned as kings and queens and bestowed the honor of their royal heritage. Today, we'll examine that royal heritage and why we persisted in defining ourselves as ex-slaves because of a brief, unpleasant experience. And why are we behaving in such self-destructive ways when our vast history of thousands of years reflects a people who were creative builders, developers, scientists, healers, travelers, agriculturalists, astronomers, global merchants, and spiritual teachers? Well, we'll talk to the organizers of this special Juneteenth celebration that's being held today in Chicago. And we'll also talk to the organizers of the upcoming 4th annual exchange ceremony, the crowning of the African diaspora kings and queens. And in a little while, we'll talk to Chicago's 17th Ward Alderman David Moore, who is taking a courageous stand to combat the effects of people who, despite a royal heritage of thousands of years, despite freedom from legal enslavement in America, are still behaving like helpless, hopeless slaves, destroying their families and communities and slowly killing themselves. How do we revive the spirit of African pride, power, and self-respect in the people living in depressed communities like Chicago's Inglewood? We'll talk about that in a moment. First, let's welcome to our show. Of course, we've got our co-host, Kareem Hamid, and our American Muslim 360 family joining us today. And of course, we are excited because we get a chance to speak to the global family, many of whom are not aware of our experience here in America. And I'd like to welcome to our show one of the organizers of this Juneteenth celebration in Chicago today with the West Indies International Bakery and the women of 79th Street. Today at 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., we will see a wonderful cultural celebration with African dancers and drummers, music, food, drinks, and games, and all kinds of fun to remind us of we are certainly pleased of the cultural flair of this celebration. And I want to welcome to our show our dear sister, Myrna. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you this morning? My name is Dr. Myrna Adams, and I'm calling about the celebration and the working for a cause celebration June 19th. And this celebration is going to be at 841 East 79th Street at the West Indies International Bakery by Miss Norma Stevenson. That is celebrating today, starting from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. this afternoon. We'll be celebrating with African dances and drumming, music, food, drinks, and games. And we want to invite the people of the 79th Street, Drexel, all the way from Kings Drive, all the way back to Stony Island and around. We will be one of the people that will kick off the celebration today. We also inviting the celebration too that is going to be today from Gately, Dr. Conrad Worrell track. And we want everybody to come out and celebrate with us today. It's going to be a glorious day for the walking for a cause, because this cause that we are walking for is a great cause that we have the opportunity to look into our inner self, look into our mindset, and see what we intend to do. We have a big celebration today, so we asking whoever will come out today and celebrate with us. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Again, I'm repeating, it's going to be African dancers and drummers, music and food. So please come out and celebrate with us today. This is again at the West Indies International Bakery. Norma Stevenson is the proprietor. So please come out and let's give God the praise. But before we do anything, we like to lift our hands up the first day, lift our minds up, and give God the praise for a wonderful celebration and a wonderful cause that we are bringing to the forefront, that people will be aware of what God is doing for us, and that we will be strong enough to come out and celebrate together in a loving, peaceful, and a wonderful, joyous day. My name is Myrna Adams, and I am the one that is speaking for Miss Norma Stevenson.
And that's Dr. Myrna
Adams.
Dr.
Yes.
Myrna Adams. And Dr. Myrna Adams is giving us quite an opportunity to not only experience a cultural celebration, but also to learn about one of our wonderful business women right there on 79th Street. And we're excited because we get a chance to include the community and the business community in this celebration. This is an important time for us to recognize that we are, in fact, a global family that has experienced this unfortunate circumstance. But of course, we also understand that we are greater than this period of enslavement. So, Dr. Adams,
Yes.
we want to hear how you chose to involve the dancers, the African drums, and all of those uh, cultural images that remind us that we have a greater identity than that which is in America, and it's one that connects us even as people in the diaspora that have been scattered many places, from the West Indies to the Jamaica and all over Europe. But what went into the planning of this event to give it that African flair?
Well, we started off on the planning because last year I had the opportunity to join the group from Gately. This is Dr. Conrad Track and Field over the 103rd Street. And I had the opportunity to march with the group that was marching from Gately Track and Field all the way to Pullman, all the way back to 103rd Street, and I had the opportunity to see this walking for the cause was such a great enlightenment. And I find that a lot of people do not know the depth, and you have a great understanding of what this walk for the cause is all about. So I want to Norma Stevenson, West Indies International Bakery, and women of 79th Street. We not just going to operate from Gately at 103rd. We want to operate from 79th Street as well, because 79th Street, starting all the way from Kings Drive, coming all the way back to Stony Island, we notice that that area is an area that needs to be uplifted and become knowledgeable about who and what they are and what they should be all about. We notice that that area needs to be uplifted, not just uplifted physically only, but it needs to be uplifted spiritually. If we notice walking from all the way from Kings Drive, coming all the way back to Stony Island, that whole area needs to have a lifting in the spirit to bring them to the understanding that we are great people of a powerful spiritual nature, but what is happening that we do not know ourselves in depth. So we need to understand that. So that's what we're trying to bring forward. The women, the West Indian International Bakery and the women of 79th Street, to give them an understanding of who they are. And if we could do that on the 11 to 5 p.m. basis, that will be a big thing that we are trying to accomplish. Not just accomplish the walking for the cause, but we then need to understand the foods that we eat, the drinks that we drink, the dancing, what it's all about. You know, the flair and fancy of our dressing. We will have out there today a queen that is going to dress looking like a queen. We're going to dancers, we're asking them to come out and dance and let them see that we're not just dancing from the physical only, we're dancing from the spiritual areas where we're dancing from the mental area. So this is what we're trying to bring forward, and we hope that this will not just be our first year. We're also asking all the women that she will send somebody that they will come out. We're asking AR Leaks. We're asking all the businesses in that area. We're asking Minister Hanneman, all of the different ministers around the different places to come together with us, that we could do something to build that this 79th Street from all the way from Kings Drive going all the way back to Stony Island and all the way back to the lake. So that's what we're trying to do.
Well, that is a magnificent goal.
And I am also in nutrition and physical fitness. because I was once an athlete of a champion athlete of the West Indies and South America. I'm a
Wow.
3 gold medalist. You know, my name is Myrna Forster. I'm a 3 gold medalist. I ran with Wilma Rudolph,
Wow.
Willie White, and Barbara Jones.
Wow.
So my thing really is the physical fitness. So how could I pass this over to let the people know that we have great talent in the area of where we live, you know, but we got to let the people know that we have it. We have Norma Stevenson, who is a wonderful baker. She do patties. She do all the West Indies foods. She do all the West Indies drinks. You know, all the different things that is good. You want to teach a class of art. You want to let them know how to bake, how to cook, how to dress, how to do different things. So that's what this is all about. So the women of 79th Street, including you that we're bringing in, we want you to come and be involved with us today and to not just put ourselves forward, but we want to put God first to let the people know that God is the centerfold of all of this stuff. That the woman who started this stuff, this Oprah Lee, you know, she didn't just talk about foods and drinks and dancing. The first thing she started off with was prayer, giving God the praise
Yes.
for all the goodness that He has done for us over the period of the years that we didn't understand who we are. So when we come to the understanding and know that we are great people, you know, we are going to do great things, but we got to come together in unity and in love for each other.
Yes, yes, we do. Well, you have
So
definitely.
sis, I thank you very much. Yes.
Yes, well, we thank you so very much for giving us that inspiration that is so necessary, especially in these times when the neighborhoods where we live are reflecting a lack of spirituality, a lack of self-respect, and a lack of vision. So this celebration gives us a chance to reclaim those things. And of course, if you just joined us, we're listening to the voice of Dr. Myrna Adams, who is an organizer of the Juneteenth celebration here in Chicago today, being held at a wonderful location on 79th Street. And we urge you, if you're in and around the Chicagoland area, to come to 841 East 79th Street from 11 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. And this is the West Indies International Bakeries and the women of 79th Street producing this fabulous event to remind us of our royalty, our royal heritage. And I do believe we're joined with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Alaikum salam.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. God bless.
Yes, God bless you so very much. And before you go, I know you've got to get back to start organizing. I want our co-host Kareem Hamid, who is in St. Louis, to give us some insight about perhaps what may be transpiring in your city and the importance of us identifying ourselves as the great people across the continent of Africa who had an unfortunate experience, but of course was officially over with on this celebration of Juneteenth. Can we reclaim our spirituality? What are your thoughts, Brother Kareem?
Yes, all praise is due to Almighty God. First and foremost, we are grateful to Almighty God, Allah, for the partial freedom that we are experiencing at this time. You know, there will be many, many, many festivals held across the country. It'll be a spirit of celebration. And we appreciate the acknowledgement of Juneteenth nationally. But I'm hoping that this national holiday does not just morph into celebrating, singing, dancing, and a day off from work. Just reduced to that level. I believe it is a period of reflection. I believe it is a period for us to reflect from where we came from and the conditions that we had to endure in this country. I believe it is a period of reflection, a period of education, of educating ourselves and each other, that we weren't brought here to be citizens of this country. We were brought here to be tools of industry, tools of labor. And it was a very cruel system, very cruel, very inhumane. And that is what I believe we should reflect on, where our beginning and where we've come and how far we have to go. I'm hoping that it's not just song and dance, and all of that is important. Yes, we do celebrate the removing of chattel slavery. But at the same time, let us not forget the conditions that we labored under. Many of our children are not aware. Many of our young people are not aware of the cruelty of chattel slavery. We should speak with them, educate them. Don't brush it under the rug. I'm grateful that this nation have submitted, and they have made a national holiday, Juneteenth. You know, there is July the 4th, there's Memorial Day, there's Veterans Day, all of these days of commemoration. But I'm grateful that this country now is acknowledging the condition and the horror of slavery that our ancestors had to endure. And we need to reflect on that. We need to educate ourselves as to what was the true condition of our lot when we were brought to these shores. It's not to arouse anger, it's to Almighty God, of gratitude, of appreciation and thankful to Almighty God that He created the circumstance that removed those chains from off of our limbs, removed the whip from off of our back, removed the sting of being separated from family and children, snatched away from mothers, and to never see again. It is termed, the institution of slavery is termed as America's original sin. America's original sin. So as we celebrate, we need to reflect back on the condition of our ancestors. We are the answers to their prayers. I'm quite sure we are. But we have to be aware of our beginnings. You know, we say diaspora. There are Africans in the Caribbean. They were brought there for sugar cane. And it was brutal. It was brutal. I mean, the loss of limbs, the loss of life, to separate a man from his wife and do with her what you want. Take our children from us. Whip us like animals. This is not to cause anger, but it is an appreciation of our beginnings out of the institution of chattel slavery. There are people in the diaspora from Brazil. How did they get there? They were brought there as slaves, and they were worked in mines and under hard labor. So let us reflect, then celebrate. But I believe this is a period of reflection for us every year and throughout the year, so that we can have an appreciation for the strength, the human fortitude to stand up under such a brutal attack on a member of humanity. And we have made progress. Praise be to Almighty God. Many people have helped us, but that help could only come because we have the inner content to never give up, the inner content to continue to struggle and move forward as we must still do today. So we're grateful that the nation acknowledges Juneteenth, but it needs to be a period of deep reflection. I'll stop right there, my sister. Praise be to Almighty God. Wow. And let me give a greeting to you of Eid Mubarak, my sister.
Yes. Eid Mubarak. Yes.
The festival of sacrifice. Yes. Praise be to Almighty God. Commemorates our father Abraham. That was in a vision. He saw that he was to sacrifice his son. That Almighty God wanted him to sacrifice his son. Abraham, being an obedient servant, attempted to sacrifice his son. If this is what God has commanded of me, I will do. And he spoke with his son and told him what God had sent to him as inspiration. And his son submitted to be sacrificed. But before the deed could be completed, Almighty God withheld Abraham's hand and told him, no, don't sacrifice your son. Sacrifice the sheep, and take the meat and feed the poor. There's a lot of wisdom in it.
Well, that, and I'm glad you shared that. Yes, I'm glad you shared that with those who may not be aware of what that celebration was about, and our understanding that our responsibility is to share with the poor. And because we've lived, as you've pointed out, in circumstances where we were treated with such brutality, we're still suffering the effects. And this is Juneteenth has to be about restoring, as my sister said, restoring the spirit that was so destroyed, so that we can then rebuild that greatness that existed prior to this enslavement experience. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll be joined by a very courageous elected official here in Chicago. Alderman David Moore is calling attention to the devastation of a community here. He's literally camping out in the Inglewood community where shootings have occurred, where drug trafficking has occurred, and children are afraid to come outside and play because it's so detrimental to their well-being. How do we restore people who have descended to the depths of self-degradation because of this experience? How do we, as our sister Dr. Myrna Adams said, how do we restore their spirit so that they can see themselves as a royal family. And then later on in our 8 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by the organizer of an event that literally returns us to our royal heritage, the exchange ceremony, where those men and women who recognize their power and are making a difference are crowned African kings and queens. We'll be right back after this quick break. We want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We're streaming live on multiple channels, of course. As always, our blog talk channels, 515-605-9325, or our blog talk channel with American Muslim 360, 515-605-9891. And you can call in on our on-air radio network, our global radio network at 727-731-5192, because we want to hear from you. And we will be right back after this break to be joined by Alderman David Moore. And we want you to see what an activist elected official looks like and what someone is willing to do to force the hand of those who are responsible for allowing these devastating circumstances to continue. So we'll be right back after this quick break. So just stay with us. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money. It's 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also 3 sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're 3 Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3 Black Moms.
Hi, I'm James Hammonds, author of When Shepherds Kill. Shepherds Kill is about an alderman in the city of Chicago who gets murdered, and his friend, another alderman, who searches for his killer. In the meantime, the city police arrest an individual who is innocent causes a city riot, and all of this happens in the context of drug dealing, Russian money being spent in Chicago. It's just full of excitement, full of thrill. You can get this book online at Amazon, Crocs and Ventanos, at the local bookstores, everywhere. Thank you.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And our guest this morning has really given us some inspiration about an upcoming celebration, Juneteenth today. We are, in fact, acknowledging the past that has shaped our present in many ways. And it's interesting that the last commercial that we heard, the book by James Hammond, talks about an alderman. So before we bring on our next guest, I want to, of course, acknowledge our dear sister, Dr. Myrna Adams, who gave us such a wonderful opportunity to experience joy today as one of the organizers of this Juneteenth celebration. And give us again one more time the address where people can attend today from 11 to 5.
The address from 11 to 5 is the 841 East 79th Street, the West Indies International Bakery.
Yes.
In Chicago.
In Chicago.
And it's going to be from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Yes. And we'll be having the African dances showing the dances of the olden days, drumming, music, the African food and the West Indies food, drinks and games.
All right.
So we do want you to come out and celebrate with us. We thank you very much, and we hope to see you at 11 and 5.
All right. Well, thank you so much, my sister. We appreciate you. I'll let you get back to your organizing. We'll see you later on. And now I want
Thank you, sister.
Yes. All righty. And so now I'm, of course, really excited to bring on our next guest as we prepare to make a transformation in our attitude. We most definitely are feeling the effects of the devastating slave experience. And we want to change what is happening in our communities because we're better than what we're behaving, the way we're behaving. I think of that line in the Lion King with the baboon Rafiki said to Simba, "You are more than what you have become." And this is what we're seeing. We are more than what we have become. We are greatness. We are great people. We are great in our gifts to the world, and yet we're devastating our communities because of what's inside of us is a sense of nothingness brought about by those very behaviors that Brother Kareem described. And so our next guest, Alderman David Moore, is taking a step, a very powerful step. And Alderman David Moore is a longtime activist as an elected official who has challenged much of the power structure. He was one of the few that challenged the wholesale dumping of money onto the immigrant population that was suddenly dumped onto the city without having regard to the people who were already here and homeless and struggling. And his stance at City Hall that day that there was a conflict over whether to appropriate this money to the immigrants who had come from Venezuela, the day that this argument was presented in city council, he was one of the few that dissented in providing that money. Not to say that we don't want to help people, but where is the help in our communities? And so once again, we are seeing our communities neglected as money's being tossed about and provided for those who just came to this land, even though they're citizens of another land. And we're seeing the devastation in our communities. So Alderman David Moore has been camped out at 1200 East 73rd Street, 73rd Place, a very highly drug infested part of the Inglewood community. And he has been challenging the powers that be, the police department, to come up with a strategy. And now he continues to be camped out there day and night, challenging them to come up with a realistic strategy for stopping the violence and the drug trafficking that's killing our children. There was a recent killing there at the location where he is staying now. And we are grateful that he is willing to take a stand. So how do we force the hand of those who have the ability to make a difference? That is the question. Now, before he comes back, I want to give you a bit of insight on what some of those in the Chicago community have been working on and have produced over the past. This is the 4th annual exchange program. And before we bring on that guest, I want to get some of your thoughts when it comes to how we are reminding our people of this horrendous thing that happened to us. But are we empowering ourselves to overcome it? So, Brother Kareem, in your opinion, are you seeing that perhaps the way we have allowed ourselves to continue rehashing this, are we making our children feel hopeless? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is this. I mean, look at the progress that the African Americans have made in this country, coming out of a deep hole, coming out of a deep darkness, no sense of self. Who am I? Where did I come from? What is my purpose? Beyond just someone's tomb. Look at how far we have come. We must connect back with the excellence that is inside of all of us. I want to say this. The slave master failed at crushing the human spirit. He failed at that. An example of that is that after manumission, after freedom, the slave whose family member had been sold to another state, another plantation, that family
families. If we impart values of compassion, generosity, and respect for fellow human beings in the next generation of children, they will create a world where people can live together in peace. This is our goal. Be a part of the transformation. Get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. Go to www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com.
Hi, I'm James Hammonds, author of When Shepherds Kill. Shepherds Kill is about an alderman in the city of Chicago who gets murdered, and his friend, another alderman, who searches for his killer. In the meantime, the city police arrest an individual who is innocent, causes a city riot, and all of this happens in the context of drug dealing, Russian money being spent in Chicago. It's just full of excitement, full of thrill. You can get this book online at Amazon, Crocs and Brentanos, at the local bookstores, everywhere. Thank you.
Naima, the
And-
reception is not clear.
Okay, and are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you, but there was someone else speaking, and it was very muffled. I'm not sure what they were presenting, but I'm quite sure it was important.
Yes, our systems went down, and so I had to kind of reboot a few things, but we are now back. And thank you all for your for your patience. And yes, our systems went down, and since we're on multiple platforms here, we had to continue playing a few commercials while we worked that on. But now we're joined by a fantastic young man. Now, what you saw on the screen in the interim, a couple of years ago, I believe it was during their second exchange program, a very special king from Ghana came to bestow kingship on one of the very powerful people in our community, leaders, world leaders, the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. And so after that ceremony, I interviewed the Ghanaian king, and one of the things that we spoke about was our responsibility as a people, because of our inner conflict, in creating the situation that we found ourselves in, which was the enslavement and transporting of many people, millions, across the world, in an economic policy that many benefited from. Well, this exchange program coming up now, the 4th annual, is another opportunity to crown kings and queens in the African diaspora. So I want to welcome to our show my dear brother Senna. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and thank you for your patience. This was a day of challenges, but I'm so grateful we had such wonderful guests to share information. So thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. My pleasure to be on the Naima Latif show. I hope I'm getting it correct.
Well, it's the Female Solution Global Radio TV show.
Okay.
And I have a whole crew of hosts every day that give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And I understand you, of course, are also, as a TV personality, sharing wisdom. Before we get into the program upcoming this Saturday, tell us a bit about your show that is on tonight. I believe we'll get another session of your program. So give us the title, date, and times, and people can tune in.
Oh, so that's the Progressive Mind show. Get the Progressive Mind show. It's every Tuesday, but between 6 to 8 p.m. And then on Sundays, we air from 4 to 6 Central Time. We are The Progressive Mind Show is about building our community. It's an educative platform where we engage leaders in the political space, business leaders, community leaders to engage, and a lot of times just regular folks, like-minded regular folks to engage in positive conversations that can impact people's lives positively and also uplift our communities. We're about bridging the gap. We're very, very serious about bridging the gap between the African diaspora and and continental Africans. And we've done a lot of work with the youth in the city of Chicago. So I'm glad to be on this platform to share with your audience what it is that we're doing on the grounds here in the diaspora and on the continent of Africa, specifically Ghana. And a special greetings to your audience this morning.
Yes. Yes. Well, we certainly are grateful to be among those who are sharing wisdom, and progressive minds are what we seek to create among our people. So thank you for doing your part to enlighten the world. And you're on today with a global audience. We are also broadcasting simultaneously on the American Muslim 360 channel, which is the largest Muslim radio network in the nation.
Okay.
And then, of course, we're on the On Air Radio Network, which is a global radio channel broadcasting all over the world. We've got hosts from London, we broadcast from Japan, from Korea, and we have had guests from all over the world, facing the challenge of the time difference. But what we seek to connect to are people who have the consciousness that this is a different time. This is a time for us to change the world from the way it is to the way it should be.
Absolutely.
And that means correcting a lot of the old mistakes that we made. That means recognizing the damage that was done. And on this Juneteenth day, when so many people who weren't aware of what happened to us here in America with the global slave trade are made aware, so that perhaps they can view differently what they're seeing in terms of the devastation of a people. So I believe what you're doing with this exchange program, this annual event in which many of the progressive leaders and organizers and people who are making a profound change in their communities are being crowned as kings and queens.
Absolutely.
Because this shows this is the caliber of people that we have always been, even in the midst of the aftermath of a transatlantic slave trade in which so many families were decimated. So tell us what inspired you to put together this program?
Thank you very much, Naima. And again, I'm very glad to be on the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And again, a very warm, pleasant greetings to your audience, your staff. As someone who does this too, I understand the work, dedication, and the amount of thought and creativity that goes in, because this type of platforms, it's not just created to engage people to talk. The goal is to impact lives, not only in the diaspora, but globally. And so it takes a different work and heart that goes into the production of your show, your platform, and the content week in, week out. And so my heart, I dove off my heart, take off my hat for the work that you have done, your tremendous efforts and your audience. Once again, the Progressive Mind Show has been around for about 7 years. We started as a local radio station, but now we air online. So you can find us on YouTube and Facebook. Our content is centered around, again, the well-being of the diaspora, African people, Black people globally. And so if you look up The Progressive Minds Show on Facebook, and on YouTube, you see all our content. This is where we literally engage the diasporans to speak and to talk about these things that we struggle with. Why are we disconnected, and what the solution is for our unity. So that work that we started led to the invention or the creation of the exchange ceremony in 2019. As a matter of fact, to answer your question directly, you said, what motivated me to do so? Now, remember, I'm a Ghanaian African immigrant that came here. I'll say 99% of us that come here, we come here because of the economic opportunities that are here. We're coming to better our lives. So all we focus on is jobs with security, do better for ourselves and help our people back home. So I was one of those people. But my life would change after a while because as a person who always sought the well-being of people, I saw the disconnect because I know firsthand how Africans love African Americans back on the continent. I live there. I live in Ghana. We always, vibing to African American music, sports. The love is deep. But when I came here, I saw the disconnect. So I asked myself, there's a confusion here. We're very cool. We love them, but we're here. And I hear what I hear within the African community about our brothers and sisters. And then when I talk to some of the African Americans, or sometimes when I interact, the tension, they have their own stereotypes, perception. So I kept thinking. So over time, when we started that's one of the reasons why, actually the main reason why we started the Progressive Mind show, to address this issue. And then 2019 came. That's when we realized that we needed to do something. And so 2019 gave us an awakening that that the African diaspora, Black people, needed to be in spaces where we are literally interacting, that we had to be intentional about our connection in a way that will be meaningful, be impactful in this generation and the next, because we don't talk to each other. And so whatever has been sold to us on both sides has stuck in our brains. We've also been suffering from PTSD from colonialism as Africans, and then perhaps for African Americans, the trauma of slavery. And so, and in addition to that, we've had a lot of media stereotypes about both sides, and so we have these misconceptions. And so we needed to create a space where we can engage and talk to each other. In that space, in those moments are the times that we can discover the truth about ourselves. We are like cousins and brothers and sisters that have been separated and kept apart from each other. And because of that, we don't know each other. And the person who kept us apart told us different stories about us. And so now when we meet, we are looking at each other funny. And so we needed to be in spaces to talk and engage. So 2019 gave us a revelation, because it was 400 years of slavery in this country, recognized by the United States government. 2019, that same year was the year that Ghana declared the year of return of African Americans to come home. And so there was something very powerful that we saw. The revelation that we saw was that God was bringing the end to our separation and the beginning of our unity in 2019. That was the spirit that was the vision that we saw. So we said, in this moment, we want to commemorate it. We want to create an altar to God that every year we will gather to celebrate the separation of us and to remember that we were intentionally separated. We didn't separate ourselves, but something happened to us. So we must remember that whatever happened to us, we should make sure that we are not dealing and continue to suffer from the trauma and the repercussions of what happened to us, so that we can begin to connect ourselves back to our roots and our heritage, understanding that we're all the same and from one and share the same heritage. So that is the essence of the exchange, to make sure that we're in the same space and literally engaging ourselves through our cultures, our shared cultures. Now, the Black people, everywhere you go, when it comes to our fashion, when it comes to our dance, the way we move, rhythm, when it comes to our food. We have these things in common, but we celebrate them differently, right? We celebrate them in our own unique ways, in our own spaces. So we knew that we thought if we bring our collective cultures together and we celebrate them among us, perhaps it can send a message to us subliminally, and the young ones and the youth, how we so connected. That is the essence of the exchange. And then we honor our people. We honor those who have done great. Give them the honor, respect them by honoring them. So that's how we started the exchange in 2019 at the DuSable Museum. And then we can go into some of the details of why we do the crowning and all of that.
Yes, and of course, it was a very powerful program. The symbolism of it, the majesty of it, it was very impressive.
Yes.
And before we take a break, I just want to show our audience a little bit of what we saw at the exchange program. I believe this was the 2019.
That was 2020, 2022.
2022 with Reverend Jackson.
Yes, because the first year we didn't do the crowning. That was when we started, and then when we came back after COVID, that's when we did the crowning for the Reverend Jackson.
Yeah, and also a lot of people in America have not really been exposed to African culture and have not really understood a lot of the ceremonies and have not understood the importance of lifting ourselves up to a position of respect.
Yes.
So, because we have not experienced it and understood it, we have not known how to replicate it in our own cultural attitudes toward our elders.
Yes.
That's so much a part of African culture is respect for elders.
Yes.
And that is a major thing that's missing in our communities today. So just even the sound, the rhythm, the colors, and most of all, the remembrance of those who come before us is such a key part of who we are and what our culture represents that we need to reclaim.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick break, and if we may, I'd like to share with our audience a little bit of the speech that was given at that program. So
yes, absolutely. Very important. Very important.
And you are listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show as we look at today, Juneteenth, and the global African family. How do we reclaim our land, language, and culture so that we can restore ourselves on the inside to our greatness? So we will be right back after this quick break, and we invite you all to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back in just a moment, so stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Hi, I'm James Hammonds, author of When Shepherds Kill. Shepherds Kill is about an alderman in the city of Chicago who gets murdered, and his friend, another alderman, who searches for his killer. In the meantime, the city police arrest an individual who is innocent, causes a city riot, and all of this happens in the context of drug dealing, Russian money being spent in Chicago. It's just full of excitement, full of thrill. You can get this book online at Amazon, Crocs and Ventanos, at the local bookstores, everywhere. Thank you.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And of course, we are excited because we have an opportunity to bring you to a wonderful Juneteenth celebration. And let's take a few of our comments on the screen.
I have some callers from AM 360 board also.
All right. Well, let's take some callers. All right. Well, let's take some callers. And of course, if you're listening online and want to join this conversation, you can give us a call, 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891. We've also got some callers on our on-air radio network at 727-731-5192. So go right ahead. You can open the mic for callers.
727-408. Your mic is open.
All right. Okay, assalamu alaikum and peace to everybody. This is y'all brother Bilal, and I like to show some love to everybody, and I want to be honest with my thoughts. I'm gonna make it brief and just to the point. Our people in America is suffering from a way of life that haven't been beneficial for them. And they need to take a real strong look at people that came and brought about great change to that life, to the traumatized person, to the one in the mud, in the muck, in the filth of the society, a person that was able to come up and raise up many people, become very, very clean in their thoughts and their actions. A great social reformer called the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And what power did he have behind him to bring about such a change in so many people. And then that process that he was able to give to his sons and the people that came under him, his son was able to bring them into a great light, an honest, a sincere, serious way of dealing with conditions that are plaguing everybody here in America and throughout the world. And I'm talking about W.D. Muhammad. You can't play anymore in this world and say that, hey, I've been living under a certain type of religion or a certain type of way of life that is beneficial. You can call me king, you can call my sister queen and all that, but that's not going to bring about the real change that got to be done.
Well, Brother
Money
Bilal,
won't be able to do it.
Well, Brother Bilal, and I'm glad you brought that part up.
Okay.
I know we got a couple of more callers, so I want to make sure we give a chance for everybody to speak. But I'm glad you brought that point up,
Thank you very much.
and I thank you so much because that's one of the things that we have talked about. What is the internal change that needs to happen beyond the symbolic? What has to happen on the inside of people that will transform them? And before the end of the show, I hope we'll be able to bring back on Alderman David Moore. And I thank you so much. That's the issue right now. How do we fix that which is broken in us? Alderman David Moore of the 17th Ward right now, he's camping out to make a statement that we need to come up with some kind of a strategy that will end this scourge of drug trafficking and killing where the children are afraid to come outside and play. It's summertime. They can't even come outside in the community. So he's out making a statement that the powers that be, those who are supposed to be responsible for public safety, have to do something. But I agree with you. The change really is inside of us. It can't be something outside. It's a transformation inside. How do we make that happen? So Brother Kareem, you have another caller that you want to bring on?
Yes. I have two callers left.
All right.
And if they can be very brief, we can squeeze them in. Area code 646-245. Welcome to the Female Solution. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Sister Farida. How we can get through it?
Wow, this is my Farida.
And where are you calling from, Farida?
How?
Where are you calling from?
Excuse me?
Where are you calling from, Sister Farida?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm calling from California.
Yes, ma'am.
What we can do is, first of all, there's greatness in all of us. If we concentrate on the greatness that is within us, we can not only learn ourselves, but we'll be on the business of doing something positive with our minds and hands on something positive. However, because of the fact that when we're not able to express ourselves, then we tend to make ourselves great by putting down anyone that we see who is trying to express themselves and better themselves. We'll go by the business of putting them down or whatever, which will stunt their growth. And we're doing this to each other like vampires upon each other. So the best thing to do is to allow each other, and we can make that pledge that we will allow each other to express themselves, because it is only through that we learn ourselves. And that's all I want to say.
Well,
thank you, Sister Farida.
Yes, we thank you so much for those comments. And next caller.
I got one more caller.
Yes, sir.
Okay. One more, 706-627. Please state your name and where you're calling from. Welcome to the Female Solution.
This is Brother Muhammad from the Umar Prophet Muhammad by the way of Columbus, Georgia. I was invited Saturday on I guess you would call it pre-Juneteenth celebration by Savannah, Georgia Black community, using that terminology. And when I got there, it was real. Some parts of it was good, real good, but they had all the children coming up doing educational display of what they had learned, et cetera, et cetera. and then waiting for my turn to school. But I never heard him mention anything about slavery too much, other than the contemporary, I say, whatever the experience that we've had in the last couple of 100 years and things like that. And the church glorifying itself. So when it got up to my turn, I explained to him, I said, well, there might be some good African history I'd like to share with the children. And I told them about Mansa Musa. Then I told them, I gave them I said there's 40% of the slaves that came to America in our African reality, 40% of them were of the Islamic faith. And the lady ran up to me, tapped me on my shoulder. She said, oh, no, we're not going to talk about this right now, if that's what you have to say. And I explained to her how long we had been in Savannah, Georgia, going on 30, 38, 39 years right there. Our nice master on the city right there. And I knew the council lady who had been on here about 25, 30 years, Mrs. Hazel Scott. And then they was drinking, smoking marijuana, all in front of these kids. I mean, you could smell alcohol in the air. They had a lot of good gospel programs, and then they had a band up there was playing out every kind of crazy hip hop and sexual music, all day long while I was there. Just before us, we had a booth. There. I was invited to come in and also speak and also to share and sit at the booth and pass out literature concerning Al-Islam and the history of Muslims in America.
So Brother Muhammad, and I know we're running a little short of time, but Brother Muhammad, I know that what you saw was kind of a contradiction of, on the one hand, we're talking about, these great people we are, and on the other hand, you see the marijuana and drinking and what usually follows that is acts of ignorance. So, and I know we've got a couple of more comments on our switchboard as well I want to get to. But thank you for your comments and for bringing out that issue that is the thing that is a stumbling block for us. So Brother Senna, as we prepare to enjoy this event coming up Saturday, and I'm gonna bring up the flyer for that on the screen. We are still dealing with very much self-destructive behavior from something inside of us that was broken. How do you see the presentation of our culture, our heritage, recognizing our inner royalty, presenting the kings and queens in the beautiful fashions and all the things we're going to see? How do you see that as helping to heal the brokenness inside of us that makes us engage in that very self-destructive behavior that Brother Muhammad was describing, that's so much a part of our community?
That is why, thank you so much for that question. And that is why the exchange ceremony is very important. And that's why we want to do it to exactly what you said, that we've identified that a lot of our brothers and sisters here lost their royalty. Some of you may have already heard the story of Prince among slaves, Prince Abdul Rahman. And there are several stories of princes and kings and queens and princesses that came here and lost it. As a result, if a king does not know and realizes the king in him, you can imagine the way he conducts himself or herself. As soon as that king is acknowledged or is made to understand that you are not who you are right now, but your actual status is a king, and that person is moved and be made to understand his royal status and move to that position, his or her whole attitude changes. Now, this is true in the Ghanaian culture. I have literally seen men and women who didn't know they live in the cities and they were just, grinding it and go about their day life, struggling, living a very impoverished lives. And then the way the tradition is that when the oracle calls for you, they will search for you wherever you are. And when they will find you. If you could be in the United States, you could be in Europe, or you could be in Africa being a hustler on the street somewhere. But when they find you, they will bring you back to the village and install you. And once you are installed and your royalty is realized, that person who was on the street, right? Because again, what you said is very real. Because I have seen people who were puppets on the streets, struggling and hustling, didn't have anything to eat, almost had one cloth and shirt and shoe that they wore for years. But these people were taken, were found in the city, taken to the village and crowned, and their countenance and life changed, right? Because now you are royal now. Your heritage and legacy has been restored to you. Your richness, the wealth that you had that you didn't have, has been given to you now. This is physical. This is not a hearsay. This is something I have seen. This is what happens in Africa. So we want to replicate that here, not just to replicate it, but understanding that part of our royals were brought here. And because they lost it, our fathers need to come. Our kings need to come. Our royals and elders need to come here and search for their children who lost their royalty and restore them. Now, we may not do this for every kid on the streets of the United States, but as a symbol, when we do it for our elders and the people that we select to do it for, and our people here see it, they can see themselves in those royals that we are restoring, right? Look at the people that we are restoring back to royalty and understand that this too is your heritage. You can be crowned like this too. As a matter of fact, this is what your ancestors had, and this belongs to you. So even though you may not be on stage being receiving that, this is what we are bringing. This is who you are. This is what your ancestors lost. This is your heritage, and we are bringing it back to you. Once that realization is had, it changes your whole countenance. And that is the healing that we want to bring. So if you look on the flyer, it says healing and unifying the African diaspora through culture. And under the flyer, you see restoring the royalty. It's our mission to restore the royalty of our brothers and sisters so that the awakening of a king and queen, once you know that, it changes you automatically. Nobody has to tell you to change. And that is the journey that we're on. And we believe this is the true healing that needs to be done.
Yes, so powerful. And if you're watching, of course, yes. And I just want to describe for people. Yes, go right ahead. And then I want to describe for people who are watching it on the screen. We have the flyer up of the event this coming Saturday, 5628 West Washington in Chicago, and all the people to be honored. That's what's displaying on the screen now. And you were saying, Brother Kareem?
Yes, not only were there kings and queens, but many of the Africans that were brought to this country, they were scholars, educators, mathematicians, proficient in government structure, not just kings and queens. We were mathematicians, we were educators, we were scholars.
Yes.
This country could not have reached its level without the expertise of the Africans that was brought to this country. We educated the Carolinas on the growing of rice. It is Benjamin Banneker that laid out the street and framework of Washington, D.C. We weren't just, just kings and queens. No, we have how can I say, an expertise and excellence within us that is educated from academia. We're brought here. Not just kings and queens, because everybody wasn't a king.
Well, a king and queen got to have some subjects, right? and that's a very powerful thing for us to remind our children that there are skills, something we talk about in our book, Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma. We have a genetic memory of all of the skills, talents, abilities, and creations of our ancestors. So it surfaces in this generation and each generation, where you will see mathematicians, builders, scientists, astronomers, healers. You'll see these people, you'll see the traits in our children, but we have not been able to bring them forward because of the environment that our children have been subjected to. But as you said, brother, this is who we are, and this is what we bring to the world, but it has to be brought out of us. So I want to share a few comments that we have from our Facebook and YouTube viewers. And our Monday morning mindfulness host Zelda says, "Grand Rising, happy Juneteenth." And Denise Mitchell says, "Hello, it's a period of writing new chapters in the history of life, new thoughts, new morals, and new growth." Yes, absolutely. And Denise also says she is correct. Yes, that is what we're seeing is a need to change what is inside of us. And she said true self-examination is one of the most important steps. And Denise also says values most of us continue to live through of white forefathers' values that causes problems within ourselves. And that is the truth for sure. Our values on the African continent was that the whole is more important than the individual. It's about the collective good, not the selfishness. And we've adopted that selfishness as a way of life, and that's what's been destructive to us. So I want to just share with you also, of course, I mentioned that Alderman David Moore of the 17th Ward, he is camping out at 1200 in the 1200 block of West 73rd Place to make a statement. He's been there day and night. I'll bring up a photo of that. We may be able to get a chance to speak to him possibly before we leave. But he's making a statement that our communities have been so decimated by crime and violence. Something has to happen. And he said he's going to, yes.
Our family structure has been destroyed. We have to unite at that level. That's where it begins. The sacred bonds of marriage and family. That's the first foundation. I'll start right there.
Yes, and that is what is the challenge that we're facing, is to
my mic open.
Yes, and this is Baba Kwame Sunhorse with us, correct? Yes, Baba Kwame,
yes,
go right ahead. And as he speaks, I pulled up on the screen. Alderman David Moore camped out there, said he's going to stay outside until the police come up with some kind of workable strategy to end this violence and drug addiction. And he said he's going to stay there until it happens. Go ahead, Baba Kwame Sunhorse, on our on-air line. Go right ahead.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum to you, Naima, and my brother, and to the brother, Ghanaian brother. Yes, I'd like to ask them, what is your day name?
Sorry? What was the question?
Name? You're Ghanaian?
His full Ghanaian name, is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking you, what is his day name? You have a day name and the day that you were born.
Yes. Yes. My day name is Kujo. I was born on a Monday. In the Ewe tribe, it's pronounced Kujo or Kojo. The Ashantis or the Khan will say Kwejo. So my day name is Kujo.
All right. So now we've learned something else. Yes.
I'm establishing that because this is part of what the tradition is in the Ghanaian tradition. I'm Kwame Inyasi. And the thing that I did was that Kennedy King, Dr. Anthony Mensah, initiated us into the Hanhom of the Fanti in the Ghanaian tradition. And these are the ways in which, and even the installment of our elders and the Sakahinis and that tradition and the clan mothers. And so the part that we're looking at is these are parts of the culture in the way, because Patrick there at Windows to Africa used to have a celebration there in Washington Park where all the Ghanaians were brought in and they did their ceremony in bringing in and honoring those Ghanaian elders, those Ghanaian Sakahinis,
and mothers that we had not remembered. And this was a way in which we began to remember. And I commend my brother for the crowning, because we install elders. When you become an elder, this is what that stool means that you have. And
90 seconds.
The name is that anybody that is you find that is cordial has to honor you for being the same day name that you are. This was part of our culture and our ways. And yes, we had our kings and our queens, but your day name was the name in which bonded you to the people of the community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Brother Kwame. We appreciate you as always for giving us insight and wisdom and knowledge. And we are out of time. We want to again invite you to the events coming up this Saturday, the 4th Annual Cultural Exchange, 5628 West Washington.
Yes.
Correct? Yes. And the time again on that is
4 p.m. to 5:30 is reception. Okay. Taste of Diaspora. And then the show starts at 6 p.m.
All right. Well, we look to see you there. And we certainly do congratulate you for another successful event and bringing together the kings and queens of the African diaspora and reminding us of our royal heritage.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. And
Hi, I'm James Hammonds.
Join us again tomorrow as we come back again with our wonderful show. And that is Veggie Brunch Live with our host, Angie. Until that time, continue to shine your light.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.